thousands of dollars. What some of these individuals are doing, like the medical marijuana store, is having people sign over their designated license to someone who they never meet at a location that they never go to, and it's under the idea that their cannabis will be sold back to them at a certain rate, $150, $200. It varies on who it is you're talking to and how much they're going to charge. But there is certainly a real movement behind groups like this Canada's medical marijuana store that want to deliver it across Canada, because certain people have fought, enough that Canada Post is forced to allow cannabis through the mail if it's legal, and there's Health Canada cards. So because there's no inspectors seeing how many plants people have or what they're doing with their excess or anything like that, these programs of Health Canada have really been taken advantage of by a lot of people, in my opinion. And many people are using it as a way to protect themselves, to grow cannabis and sell it legally to one person and sell the rest to whomever they want in order to pay for the rent. Because the way it's set up, the 1-to-1 ratio of Health Canada, if you're a designated grower, you can only grow for one sick person. There's no opportunity to make a living doing that at all. Like, if you are making a living off of one sick person, then you may have some moral issues to deal with. So you need multiple people to be growing for, which is why, some people have gone and tried to apply for multiple, in some cases, hundreds of applications. And this book here that Eric Nash and Wendy Little put out, to me, is sort of a prime example of how people have seen this as an opportunity to make money without giving compassion clubs the credit that they're due. This book is really a lot of just photocopies out of Health Canada's regulations. It's not even a real book in that sense. And there's nothing about medical on the front of that. There's a $100 bill. So it really gives you a sense of what people see as, and a set of scales, as being behind the MMAR, and what opportunities are open to it. And there's a lot of, like I say, kind of overlap even at times between people that are applying for Health Canada licenses and then growing and supplying medical compassion clubs. Or dispensaries. My group, the Cannabis Buyers Club, really discourages that. We think if people get a license from Health Canada, kiss the ground you're walking on to your door, grow the plants you're allowed to, don't break the laws anymore, you don't have to. Help us, but stick with what you got. Other people don't see it that way, and they want to push for more and more with Health Canada's licenses. And so, and I guess back to the other parallel track that in my opinion has been far more successful has been the constant distribution of cannabis for medical purposes. So this picture here is kind of from what's been commonly known as the Hitzig decision. Alan Young there, we owe that guy so much in this country. He has been behind almost every major court decision thus far. The Wakeford decision, the Parker decision, the Hitzig decision, the recent Carousel decision. Those have been probably, I'd like to think mine's somewhere in there, but really they've set stronger precedents with things. I guess the Montreal Compassion Center has a good one. I got a picture of that crew up here in a minute too. This is Warren Hitzig. He was just, I guess, the first guy in the list of 7 people that were suing Health Canada. I think that's the only reason he ended up becoming known. And those 7 people had Alan Young represent them. Catherine DeVries passed away. She's from Waterloo, Ontario. Alison Murden is a member of Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, and she's doing a ton of great work out of Burlington, Ontario. But yeah, it was this group of 7 people sued the government in cooperation with a court case going against the Toronto Compassion Center, and really, as I think, at least I've said in the past in the medical marijuana class, the Hitzig decision was step 2 of the Parker decision, which struck down several regulations that were deemed unconstitutional. I think there's still much room to rule against the MMAR, but the court's only ruled so far, and really the Hitzig decision for the most part is still the strongest precedent in the country. One of the other things that's been incredibly beneficial to both groups I've mentioned, people with licenses and sick people without, has been the media in Canada. We've been very successful as an activist community in creating publications to help organize, distribute information, and get the message out there. It's kind of freaky when you compare Canada and the US, actually. Like, High Times, maybe isn't the only newspaper or magazine down in the United States, but I haven't seen many come out. Here in Canada, they haven't all held water, but we've had Cannabis Culture, Cannabis Health, Skunk, Heads, I've seen others in the past, and Treating Yourself magazine. For the most part, these have been created by activists. Like Marco Redna, he's behind Treating Yourself. He was one of the 7 in the Hitzig decision. Marco's created Treating Yourself magazine. They're going full tilt. We're certainly all very saddened to hear that Cannabis Culture is no longer going to be in print and is going to be online in the future. And we hope that they are able to sustain that. We really hope so. But nevertheless, we have a really strong activist base here in Canada that has really decided to become the media instead of continually blame the media. And yeah, Michelle Rainey, who's at our convention here recently, is part of Treating Yourself. And maybe on the conversation of magazines, I should say that you might want to pick up the May issue of High Times, because I'm actually covered in it for the first time, so that's pretty cool too. Thanks. So I mentioned the Club in Montreal. At the far end here, we got Boris St. Maurice, the brains behind the operation. He's also been able to help a new club start up this fall in Quebec City. So they got 2 storefront operations in Quebec. Surprised they don't have more, but my understanding is that the club in Montreal is almost as much, if not more, of a flagship than the one in Vancouver. It's too bad we have this language barrier, because it is my impression from members and individuals that the Montreal Club is probably the nicest, most laid-back, helpful, friendly, and direct group of people in the medical marijuana movement in the country. And I don't